Hope you're having a good day today. Thanks for joining me once again. We are going to be looking at an account in the life of Elisha. Once again, we're going to look at the account when Elisha prays and the army of the Lord is revealed to his servant. Today's hymn, the hymn Singing Redemption Song.
Angels are singing redemption, sweet song, wonderful theme, glorious theme. Shout the glad message and join in the throng, singing redemption song. Sing the sweet song, the sweet story, redemption, sweet song. Sing it again, and over, the chorus prolonged. Shout the glad message and join with the throng. Ever will sing praise to the King, singing redemption song.
Let's look at our passage now. We're going to read a little bit today. 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 8. Now the king of Syria was making war against Israel. I think about what Naaman was doing then. The king of Syria was making war against Israel, and he consulted with his servants, saying, My camp will be in such and such a place. And the man of God sent to the king of Israel, saying, Beware that you do not pass this place, for the Syrians are coming down there. Then the king of Israel sent someone to the place of which the man of God had told him. Thus he warned him, and he was watchful there, not just once or twice. Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was greatly troubled by this thing, and he called his servants and said to them, Will you not show me which of us is for the king of Israel? And one of his servants said, None, my lord, O king, but Elisha the prophet, who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom. To understand what's going on, the king of Syria keeps making plans, and Elisha keeps telling the king of Israel, you don't want to go there because that's where they're going to be. And the king of Syria is like, I have a traitor in my midst. Someone is revealing our plans. And they say, nope, actually it's Elisha. And the prophet who's in Israel, he tells the king of Israel what you're going to do, the words that you speak in your bedroom. And that the Lord sees in private as it is. Verse 15, as things go on, because the king of Syria, he wants to go get Elisha. And it was told him that he was in Dothan. So he sends horses and chariots and a great army there. Verse 15, and the servant of the man of God rose early and went out. There was an army surrounding them. So the servant says, Alas, my master, what shall we do? And Elisha answers, Do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with him. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray, open his eyes that he may see. Then the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. So when the Syrians came down to him, Elisha prayed to the Lord and said, Strike this people, I pray, with blindness. He struck them with blindness according to the word of Elisha. So what do we see? There are private matters. Elisha tells the king of Israel, what you say in your bedroom. There are private matters. And the Lord knows. And then there are invisible matters. And Elisha prays, because the servant is afraid. And that's the thing. Elisha saying, don't be afraid. Those who are with us, do not fear. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And I'm sure the servant was thinking, what are you talking about? And Elisha says, Lord, open his eyes that he may see. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around. And yes, there was an army outside their door, and there's a bigger army surrounding, the army of the Lord, much bigger, a host of heaven surrounding the Syrians. And then Elisha says, strike them with blindness. Okay, strike them with blindness. Now what are we going to do with them? Look on. They're struck with blindness, and then Elisha says, This is not the way, nor is this the city. Follow me, and I will bring you to the man whom you seek. But he led them to Samaria. When they came to Samaria, Elisha says, Lord, open the eyes of these men that they may see. And the Lord opened their eyes, and they saw, and they're inside Samaria. And then the king of Israel says, my father, shall I kill them? And it's like he just led them into the enemy's den. And all of a sudden they thought they were going one place, and they open their eyes and they're like, we're done. We're done. And the king of Israel says, let's kill him. Technically, he says to Elisha, my father, shall I kill them? Shall I kill them? You know what he wants to do. Elisha says, you shall not kill them. Would you kill those whom you have taken captive with your sword and bow? Set food and water before them, that they may eat and drink and go to their master. Then he prepared a great feast for them after they ate and drank. He sent them away, and they went to their master. So the bands of Syrian raiders came no more into the land of Israel. Be generous. You want me to kill them? Don't kill them. Eat them. Eat them. Love your enemies. Pray for them. Bless them. Do good unto them. All those things. Be generous. And see what happens. And the Syrian raiders don't come into the land anymore. So don't be afraid. Be generous. And the Lord sees. The Lord sees where no one else can see. Now, I want to look at the next portion of Scripture. Because what ends up happening is the king of Syria goes up and besieges Samaria. Pardon me, the king of Syria besieges Samaria. And all of a sudden, inflation kicks in because of they don't have anything. Because there's a famine in Samaria, they besieged it until a donkey's head was sold for astronomical prices. King of Israel is going by, and a woman cries out, help my lord, O king. Because what has been happening is they've started turning to cannibalism. He hears it, he tears his clothes off, he has sackcloth on his body. And he says, God do so to me, and more also if the head of Elisha the son of Shaphat remains on him today. It's like they think Elisha's the problem. Elisha's sitting in the house, elders are sitting with him. And Elisha says they're coming. I believe he says they're coming for me, so please hold them. Hold them off, more or less. Chapter 7. Elisha tells them, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord, tomorrow about this time a seah of flour shall be sold for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel. What he's saying is the prices are going to drop like a rock. That the prices that have been inflated so much, they're going to be deflated overnight. An officer on whose hand the king leaned answered the man of God and said, yeah, I don't believe it. If the Lord would make windows in heaven, could this thing be? What he's saying is, if it starts raining tomorrow, it's going to take a season to grow crops. No, the prices aren't going anywhere. No? Elisha says, in fact, you'll see it with your eyes, but you shall not eat of it. And so then we have the account of the 4 lepers. So there's 4 lepers at the entrance of the gate, and they say to one another, why are we sitting here until we die? If we enter into the city, the famine is in the city. So just for the sake of saying it, they say, listen, we're dead one way or the other. We might as well go into the city. And so they rose at twilight. They say, let's go into the city. We'll surrender to the army of the Syrians. If they keep us alive, we shall live. If they kill us, we'll only die, and we'll be put out of our misery. So at twilight, they go into the camp of the Syrians. But guess what? Nobody's there. Like, what do you mean nobody's there? Well, verse 6, for the Lord had caused the army of the Syrians to hear the noise of chariots and the noise of horses. Here's the Lord's army once again. The Lord caused the army of the Syrians to hear these things. They arose, they fled at twilight. They left the camp intact. So what happens is the lepers, they start going in and they go from tent to tent and they start plundering, and then they start feeling bad about it. Start feeling bad about it. We are not doing right, verse 9. This day is a day of good news. We should go tell the king's household. So they go, called to the gatekeepers of the city. Remember, 4 lepers. We went to the Syrian camp, and nobody's there. Not a human sound, just horses, donkeys. The tents are intact. So that word gets to the king, and the king, he's suspicious, and he thinks, oh, they're just setting a trap for us. So they take off because the Syrians have fled, and they're trying to ascertain what's going on. So they went after them to the Jordan. Indeed, all the road was full of garments and weapons which the Syrians had thrown away in their haste. So the messengers returned and told the king. So they go and they plunder the tents of the Syrians. And so a seah of fine flour was sold for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel, according to the word of the Lord. Not to turn this into Econ 101, but how you get deflation, how you lower the prices, is you have an influx of liquidity. And what that means is you flood the market. Well, the officer had said, if it starts raining tomorrow, it's not going to do anything for a season. So it's not going to lower prices. Well, there's different ways to get grain. One way is to grow it. Another way is if the Lord causes the Syrians to hear the army of the Lord, they flee and they leave everything behind, and all of a sudden you have a huge influx of food for everyone. And all of a sudden the prices crash back down to normal. So they go out, they plunder the tents of the Syrians. The king had appointed the officer on whose hand he leaned to have charge of the gate, and they trample him in the gate in the chaos that ensued. The people trample him in the gate. He died just as the man of God had said. That officer who said, the Lord can't do that. It happened just as Elisha said. Did you notice in the account of the lepers, it's somewhat some of our same points. Don't be afraid. You need to see the invisible. Be generous. Don't be selfish. The lepers, should we just keep this for ourselves? No, that's not right. Let's go tell the good news. Don't be afraid. Be generous. Don't be selfish. And the Lord sees where others cannot. The Lord sees into the private affairs of man, and the Lord sees, of course, what is invisible to us. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good day as we think about singing redemption's sweet song. We think about the power of the Lord. Have a good day. Join us tomorrow for another portion of our daily praise.